In this video, I want to cover a blockchain game that, unlike most blockchain games, doesn't have play to earn or play and earn or anything but earning on their marketing copy or anywhere. Yep, this is a regular fun game, and this utilizes blockchain technology to make the players' experience better and to give players ownership, but it doesn't have any of the unsustainable and speculative tokenomics of the first generation of blockchain games. So this game, it's called ChainMonsters, and I think this is the direction blockchain gaming is going. And they've been building this project since 2020. At no point did they jump on the play to earn thread. They're really focused on just building a fun game and really utilizing blockchain technology to make it more fun versus to turn it into a DeFi 2.0. So what is ChainMonsters, right? So ChainMonsters is basically a free-to-play monster taming MMORPG for the fully player-driven economy, right? And you can see the game looks pretty incredible. As compared to what their first iteration was, basically on their Kickstarter, this is what it looked at like initially, right? Like their plan for it, like a very basic game. And now they've turned it into a full-on like 3D beautiful game at this point. Now, keep in mind, ChainMonsters is free to play. So you don't have to buy an expensive NFT to play this. It's integrated with Flow blockchain, right? So basically for the blockchain aspect of their project, they're using Flow, which is, in my mind, one of the most underrated blockchains out there. I think Flow is doing some pretty incredible things. They're really trying to onboard the masses, which is why ChainMonsters makes sense on there. Now, what this reminds me of, what this game kind of really gives me really strong vibes is it's like Pokemon, but obviously I used to play Pokemon on my Game Boy and so on, but it's just obviously utilizing blockchain technology, a lot of cool new features. Game looks pretty cool, and when they ran their original Kickstarter, they actually raised over basically 108,000 pounds out of 10,000 pound goal, so they did 10x more than they thought they would. And a lot of their, the people that they raised from were essentially normal gamers, right? So yes, there were some blockchain gamers, but a lot of this were just normal gamers that liked the project. And this was, basically way back in, I believe in 2021 or 2020. So this is a cool project because it's actually attracting Web2 gamers, and it isn't just, attracting guilds and people trying to extract value from the gaming ecosystem. Now, they do have a very Studio Ghibli vibe, which I really dig. With their project, you can see that it's beautiful, right? Like the player avatar is beautiful, the sunsets, etc. So they are going for that Studio Ghibli vibe. So let's quickly talk about the team. So the founder is Maximilian Weber. He's the CEO of B-Side Games. Basically, he's worked with a few different gaming companies. He's working at KingArt, GmbH. He was working at basically Netherstorm, and then he obviously started working for himself at B-Side Games, right? So before building his current studio, he worked on the Book of Unwritten Tools 2, which was a pretty well-received game. And at his current studio, he also built this game called 321. So yeah, he's not a AAA experienced, dev who's worked on Call of Duty, but he's been putting out games that have done well. So you can tell this is a very strong passion project. Their team currently has 13 people on LinkedIn. I wasn't able to find a team page. I do know they're hiring right now, and it does seem like they're a small team, which makes sense because they didn't raise a huge amount of funding. This is very much an indie project. So team-wise, I think they're pretty decent. Nothing mind-blowing, but again, like a lot of these smaller gaming projects that do really well, they are really just a bunch of indie gaming devs who are just putting their blood, sweat, and tears. And I think a lot of people are like, hey, we need these, I only want to support projects by these AAA gaming devs. But it's honestly, you look at Steam, a lot of the games out there are just by unknown devs that, it's their first big hit. So you don't have to work at a big gaming studio to make a hit. Now, the lore behind this game is that you work for N Corp, where you research, capture, and identify chain mons, right? Which are these things, so essentially Pokemons, but chain mons. There seems to be some sort of anomalous behavior going on. Basically, you're sent to investigate it. And obviously, there are hundreds of other people who are sent to investigate it as well, because N Corp is this massive corporation. So I feel like there's going to be some interesting stuff with the story and Encore. I am excited to see what the lore ends up being. Now, the gameplay is pretty simple. It's a turn-based monster battler. If you've ever played Pokemon, you know what I'm talking about. You're basically building squads of Chainmons, which have ability points, strengths, and weaknesses. There's also environmental effects, which can affect your Chainmon as well. So, like, this has a completely different vibe and style in Pokemon, but obviously, like, the gameplay is quite different. And, yeah, it just looks pretty freaking cool as just a game to play. Now, there's both your story mode, which you can do in co-op with your friends, or you can also do official tournaments and leaderboard play. So there are ways for you to probably earn, with this game through selling NFTs, but it's not really a focus on the game, which I think makes it a lot more likely to work and sustainable. There's also a breeding mechanism with the number of times, certain parent can breed. So breeding is how you can get these more powerful Chainmons. So they do have that. Obviously, they seem to be focused on preventing overinflation. Now, another cool feature is they have housing. So you can actually have your own house, right? Like, it looks pretty freaking cool having your own house and your own like little crib, right? So I think that's like going to be a cool way for people to take the NFTs they're earning in game and kind of reinvest that into their house, right? Now, the way they're going to generate revenue for this game, right? Because they don't really have a token right now. They did sell one round of NFTs, but it's really with season passes that give you additional skins, items, and cosmetics during the season. So it's all free to play, but it's kind of like the Fortnite Battle Pass system. And once the season is over, the only way to buy those items from that season is through a secondary marketplace of another player. So this kind of creates an in-game economy naturally. Now, because they're really focused on onboarding Web2 gamers, they're not at all promising you'll earn from this game. I do think that the game will have a sustainable economy because most people will be playing for fun. Maybe there's a few people who are grinding and taking kind of like selling those NFTs for real life money and taking that out of the ecosystem, but I don't think most people are going to be doing that. So they don't have plans to introduce a token at this point. Their focus is on gameplay and fun. So unlike most crypto gaming projects, which are just glorified DeFi projects, this seems like the kind of game that can actually attract mainstream gamers. So that's one of the reasons why I'm bullish on ChainMonsters. This is one of the only blockchain games that actually used Kickstarter to raise a lot of funding from non-crypto natives. It's clear from looking at their Discord and their Kickstarter comments that a lot of normie gamers are interested in this project. The game looks loads of fun. People have really provided a lot of feedback for the beta, which unfortunately at this point it's closed, but I haven't had a chance to play. They should be coming out with an open beta pretty soon. And they've been building around for 2.5 years. So they're very close to the second phase of their beta. They have a product that's kind of working. Unlike most blockchain games, they've been around for a while. Now they're focused on fun, so they're skipping a token, right? The reason a lot of projects have tokens is for VC liquidity so they can exit their positions earlier. It's a lot of these VC firms pressure projects to have tokens because if you have a token, you can get your money out in like 1 to 2 years versus having to wait 5 or 6 years, right? So in many projects, a token is not really necessary. And honestly, it just does more harm than good in a lot of these blockchain gaming projects because it's just a way for VCs to dump on retail. And they've been able to build this project with limited resources. They had some funding from Flow, from Kickstarter, and a small NFT raise they did. But honestly, they've been able to do this on a tight budget. I do think that this team is pretty dedicated. They're not in it for the cash. So how can you get involved, right? So they do have an NFT marketplace. You can pick up some of the Kickstarter reward NFTs people are selling and items from the first drop they did on the secondary marketplace. So I do think a lot of them are undervalued, will have value in the ecosystem. So yeah, and I would also try to get into their upcoming beta, right? So I think this is going to be a fun game. Try their beta when it does come out and go check out their NFTs if you're actually want to have some sort of stake in the game and potential upside. So guys, thanks again for watching this video. Make sure to follow me on Twitter where you can learn more about what I do, what projects I'm working on, etc. And thanks again for watching this video. Cheers.